guys, Mrs. Garth. Today is just an extension of what we have already learned. We are still just multiplying radicals. Previously, we had learned that we were multiplying just numbers or just variables. Today, we're going to do both. So I have 4x squared y cubed times 5x squared y squared. They're both the square root. Remember, when we don't have a number, then it is a 2, my index of 2. So 4 times 5 is 20. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Y squared times y cubed is y to the 5th. And that's the square root. So now we're going to break down our numbers, break down our variables, circle them, and call it a day. Nothing that you haven't done before. So 20 is an even number. I can break it down into 2 and 10, and then 2 and 5. And then I have x to the 4th and y to the 5th. All we're going to do is circle these. We are circling groups of 2 because this is an index of 2. Whatever gets circled gets to come out. Whatever doesn't get circled has to stay in. That means that I'm going to have 2x squared because I have 2 of them, y squared because I have 2 of them. And then inside the square root, I did not circle a 5 or 1y. And that's our answer. So you've already multiplied, you've already simplified. The only thing that's different about today is that we are multiplying both our numbers and our variables. Okay, for number 2, again, we're just multiplying. They have the same index, they're both the cube root. So we're going to multiply our numbers first. 54 times 5 is 270. And then we're going to work on our variables. X squared times x cubed, we're adding those together. 2 plus 3 is 5. And y cubed times y to the 4th, 3 plus 4 is 7. And my index is 3. So now we need to break this down. I'm going to prime factor my 270. I know that this can be factored because it ends in a 0. It can be factored into 5 and 54. And then 54 can be divided by 2, and I get 27. And then 27 is 3 and 9 is 3 and 3. Also, I have x to the 5th, y to the 7th. So I'm going to write my 5 x's and my 7 y's. And then the only thing left to do is circle. So I'm going to circle. I have an index of 3, which means I'm circling anything that I have 3 of. I have 3 of a kind for my 3's, and my x's, and my y's. Anything that got circled gets to get out of jail, gets to get out of my radical. So that is a 3x y squared because I have 2 y's. Anything that did not get circled stays inside. So I have 5 times 2 is a 10. I have 2 x's, so x squared, and I have 1 y. So my answer to this is 3x y squared times the cube root of 10x squared y. Remember, anything that does not get circled gets put back and gets multiplied. So this 5 times 2 is 10. I didn't rewrite it as 5 times 2, I just rewrote it as the 10. Let's look at number 3. So again, we are multiplying. So we're going to multiply 16 times 8 is 128. X to the 14th times x cubed. Remember, we add our exponents, so it becomes x to the 17, and then I have y cubed. So now that I've done that, I have to break this down. I have to prime factor. So prime factorization for 128, it's an even number. So I know that I can do 2 and 64, 2 and 32, 2, 16, 2, 8, 2, 4, 2, and 2. All of these were even numbers. Really, 128, the way that I always think about it is that that's a gigabyte. Everything comes in 2s for bytes, and so when I see 128, I know that it automatically can be factored by 2s. Now I have to write my 17x's. So I've written my 17x's and my 3y's. I've also factored my 128. The last thing to do is to circle groups of 3, because that's my index. So I'm going to circle groups of 3. Whatever gets circled gets to get out of jail. Whatever does not get circled has to stay inside the radical. So now we're going to write whatever was circled. I have 2 times 2 because I have 2 groups of 2. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x to the 5th, y, and inside my cube root, I have a 2, and I have 2 x's that did not get circled, so that's x squared. One last thing I'm going to do, 2 times 2 is 4, so I'm just going to rewrite it as 4, x to the 5th, y, with the cube root of 2x squared. Okay, let's look at number 4. So, still multiplication. We are going to multiply on the outside and then on the inside. So, 3 times 2 is 6. And then I multiply on the inside. 7 times 21 is 147. Then I have x cubed times x cubed is x to the 6th. Remember, 3 plus 3 is 6. And y squared. So now I need to break this down. So I'm going to break down the 147. I know that it can be divided by 7 because of that 7 there. So that's what I'm going to do is 7, and it's 21, and then 21 can be divided by 7 and 3. And then I have to write my 6 x's and my 2 y's. So now, there is no index written there. So what is the index when it's not written, when we can't see it? It's always a 2 if there isn't one written. So that means that we're going to circle groups of 2. Anything circled gets to come out of my radical. Anything that's not circled has to stay in. So I will have 7x. I have 3 groups of x, so it's x cubed. And I have 1 group of y. And inside the radical is a 3. Now, one thing I didn't do, which hopefully you recognized, is I didn't deal with that 6. This is what came out of the radical, so it needs to be multiplied by the 6 on the outside. So the last thing to do is to simplify one more step. 6 times 7 is 42. Then I have x cubed, y, and the square root of 3. So don't forget to multiply the number that's already on the outside of my radical by anything that I brought out of the radical. Number 5 and number 6 are the same exact things, so we don't need to do them. So if you need more help, definitely contact me. You have homework and you have an assessment to finish this week. Have a wonderful day.